worried song, I'm worried down, I won't be worried long. I ain't worried man, sing worried.
S.O.N.G.S was San Onofre Nuclear Generating Station, which always made me really mad because why would we call that S.O.N.G.S when it sucks? So we decided to take it back, and here we are at S.O.N.G.S for songs.
We're here playing songs, protesting.
Battling songs with songs.
Why would you want to keep radioactive material on the beach, buried? No need.
Was it the wind I find? Was it the moving of the hands of time? Was it a truth obscured? A lesson yet learned that I'm learning now?
To be here, we understand that we have the responsibility of protecting those that are going to come after us, and we don't want to set them up with a totally avoidable existential threat like we have staring at us right now at San Onofre.
When we weren't looking, the same people that created all this waste decided to try and bury it 108 feet from the water line. 108 feet. That's the distance from the front door to here. Okay? That's insane.
On March 11, 2011, I watched the Japanese government fumble through live television updates regarding the tsunami and the resultant triple nuclear meltdowns. About this time, I began to meet and network with other mothers who had evacuated their children to our city of Wakayama, some 300 miles southwest of Fukushima, whose children began to have mysterious illnesses, bloody noses, bruising, skin rashes, lethargy, in areas that were even outside of Fukushima, for example, Tokyo. The unfolding of the Japanese government cover-ups, which is eerily familiar with what's been going on with Southern Cal Edison, and aside from Gregory Jasko, what's really going on with the NRC, the Nuclear Regulatory Commission. There are cover-ups galore, and it's time that we wake up and smell the coffee and really understand that we hold the power.
So much destruction in these times of revelation. One race, one blood, one world, one love. Let's unite, rise up and conquer. One race, one blood, one world, one love. Let's unite, rise up and conquer. Come on. Rise up, unite. Rise up, unite. Rise up, unite and conquer.
Thank you guys. Have a wonderful night.
For example, right now, as you've heard, the radioactive waste there, the spent fuel containing the most dangerous man-made poisons that have ever existed, are not being placed into the safest casks, the thickest casks that can be monitored at a location that is the most secure. They are not using the best science has to offer, but instead the cheaper, thinner, unmonitorable canisters that are vulnerable to cracking within 17 years, while the radioactive waste inside is going to be dangerous for hundreds of thousands of years to come.
The good news is there are safer solutions that are within our reach. It's not, you know, they say that this is a short-term solution. It's not a short-term solution. Everything I've read says that there's a better chance that a mermaid is going to come riding a unicorn and just swoop all of it away. That's more likely than them getting this waste out of here really in our lifetime. It's decades. It's a real problem. It's going to be here for a while.
What's become clear is there is a consensus around moving the waste further east in Camp Pendleton to a location called the Mesa for temporary storage until there is a national repository for nuclear waste. Edison has a current lease for this site, and they have a service road that goes directly under the freeway and connects to this site, which is 120 feet above sea level, versus the current site, which is dug out and built just a few feet above the water table.
Do we need to wait for the next earthquake, tsunami, terrorist attack, or canister to drop 18 feet to the ground to show how easy it is for the worst case scenario to play out? Or are we going to come together and force the changes that must be made to protect our community today?
Yeah, we gon' stand at that rock and fight for freedom. Protect our sacred land from greed. Protect our sacred water for our future. Stand up for what we believe. Get on up. Together we gon' run like the wind to the sun. We gon' run, we gon' run, we gon' run. Strong like the buffalo we run. We gon' run, we gon' run, we gon' run. Run on.
We don't have to be hippies, right, to protest. We can be brainiacs. We can be business people. We can be Republicans. We can be Democrats. We can be anything, as long as we are for smart decisions by government.
While I was backstage, I went, well, who are the people behind Edison? How many of you know who the board of directors are that are making the decisions around where this is going? Does anybody know? Google it, because I'll tell you, I've got their pictures right here. I've got their names right here. And I bet every one of those has families too, wouldn't you think? So do yourself a favor and reach out to these people who are on the board. Because I know sitting on the boards, when people start to give my phone number and people start to call us, we start to listen. So yes, call your senators. Yes, call your local city councils. But you know what? Call the board of directors and let them know that they should put that $4 billion to use. $4 billion that they have to do the right thing. So they can either line their pockets or they can do the right thing.
I'm blowing up like you thought I would. Call the crib, same number, same hood. It's all good. Hey, baby, 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 say that you know very well who you are, and don't let them hold you down. Reach for the stars. You gotta go, but not that way, 'cause you're the only one. I'll give you good and plenty.
But in the early 70s and 80s, I was a nuclear weapons security officer, a nuclear weapons handling officer, a nuclear weapons safety officer, and I understood what it took to safely maneuver and move material, nuclear material, of a much smaller quantity than we're dealing at San Onofre properly, with the safeguards, conditions, and procedures. And the more I learned about what was going on at San Onofre, the more I became scared. I started to question whether or not they knew what they were doing, and more importantly, whether or not there were procedures and certifications were in place. And the individuals who were actually responsible for moving 2.6 million pounds of material were the right people to do what they're doing. And we weren't getting answers, we were getting questions. You explain to me. I'm sorry, folks, that's not how it works. They're supposed to make us feel comfortable with their answers, not spin around the bush and come right back to the same place we started. But they're supposed to provide us an assurity with individuals who are certainly qualified beyond those individuals who have an ultimate responsibility to us all for the safety of this material. That's the thing that scares me the most, is we are supposed to be the most technologically advanced, nuclear-capable country in the world that not only regulates, but understands the consequences of the risks. And we are today allowing the burial on a beach of 3 million pounds. And as the former director of the NRC said, once it's in the ground, folks, it's there forever. He's basically declared there's no way anybody's going to come back and take it out. But more recently, we've even heard that it may not even be safe to move the canisters once they're in the ground, which means they're there forever.
And there was 3.6 million pounds of toxic nuclear waste being put in cans up on the beach with so much haste. Now I got the blues, San Onofre blues. Yeah.
We cannot allow this to happen without assurances that what they are doing is safe. And not safe in a questionable fashion, because every time you ask them, they say, well, theoretically, it could be done. You don't screw with theoretical nuclear catastrophes. You either know how to do it or you don't know how to do it. It's that simple. It either has been done or it has not been done. And if it has not been done, then it needs to be engineered to a point in which we are absolutely assured 100% that the safety of that material will not jeopardize or potentially destroy Southern California or any place else it may be buried. We need to fix this now. We need to take a completely different action, and we have got to get these people to understand this is not business as usual. If I were to want to bury a 55-gallon drum of gasoline in my backyard, I would go through a completely different and more regulated process than these people have gone through to bury 3 million pounds of nuclear waste. And more importantly, the community has had no say as to whether or not it's safe or it's not safe. The engineers and the scientists have shown us over and over again that we need to take a break. An NRC director has said we should stop. If you don't think that's the case, then we'll just bury it and it'll just keep going. Fill out those cards, take a handful home, call your local elected officials, call your state representatives, call those individuals who are in the federal system who can take the NRC to task, and tell them this is not a regulatory issue, this is a safety issue. And the Constitution of the United States directs that this government provide for our safety. And they are not. Thank you.
'Cause I can't take none of that through the door. Yes, I'm living for more, just a funeral. I wanna burn brighter than the dawn. Yeah, life is short, I wanna live it well. One life, one story to tell. Life is short, I wanna live it well. And you're the one I'm living for. Awaken on my soul. Every breath that you take, it's a miracle. Life is short, I wanna live it well. Yeah, I want one life and one love. I got one voice, maybe that's enough. 'Cause we're one heartbeat and two hands together.